Liverpool, Liverpool, Liverpool. If you don't know, I support Liverpool. Sadly, this season was straight horror, especially from last season when we won the league to this season. This has been an abysmal season. The season was weird because if you look at Liverpool on paper, it doesn't literally look like the worst team ever. All the signings that we made in the summer, it looked like we were going to go back to back. They still had all the possession. They still got into the opposition box so many times. Still created chances. Still had high-level players all over the pitch. Van Dijk and Konate as centre-backs. Alisson in goal. Kirk as left-back. Szoboszlai had a strong season. Wirtz had some nice flashes. Isak and Ekitike as your 9 options. There's talent everywhere. And that's why this season was so frustrating and just so horror. Liverpool didn't finish 5th because they became a bad team overnight. They finished 5th because the balance of the team broke. There was no balance in that team. The midfield pivot of Gravenberch and McAllister that worked so good worked because Szoboszlai was in front in the number 10, making all the runs, pressing everyone. Wirtz, number 10, has changed the whole dynamics. So much stuff I could say, so much stuff I'll go on about, don't worry. The biggest theme of the whole season was so simple. To me, it was that one game in the first half against Man United where Liverpool had all the possession, but they didn't have any control. They were just getting counter-attacked on constantly. And I felt as if Slot should realise this by now. It was a really poor coaching season from Arne Slot. They had the ball like a top team, but they defended transitions so awfully. Jules, awful. Set pieces, 20 set pieces in the Premier League is one of the worst records I've ever seen at any football club at any level. Absolutely abysmal. 52 goals conceded in the season. The team just completely lost its identity from the Klopp days when he had Henderson, Milner and Wijnaldum in midfield, Fabinho in midfield, Emre Can in midfield, people who could actually tackle. The identity was completely gone under Slot. And that's the whole difference. Because real control isn't just having 60% possession. Real control is what happens when you lose the ball, you have a good rest defence to cover everything that's going on behind you. And it's whether your midfield can kill counters. If I see McAllister fall over one more time, or Gravenberch, that Aston Villa game, oh my God. It's whether your fullbacks are protected, not so many counters down the sides. I remember seeing on the first game, Semenyo counter-attacking through the whole pitch. It was just awful by Slot, honestly, just straight awful. It's whether your centre-backs are constantly defending emergency situations. I saw Van Dijk ranked top for every single duel, for every single statistic. That is not what should be happening. That is not what should be happening in his year 35. It's whether you can defend set pieces without looking vulnerable every single week. 20 set-piece goals. That's Southampton conceded 20 set-piece goals last season and they got relegated. Liverpool have conceded 20 set-piece goals. I know they sacked the guy, I forgot his name, but they sacked the guy. I know they sacked the guy who was conceding all these set pieces, but still 20 set piece goals. And that's where Liverpool fell apart this season. This wasn't just a bad season. It was a massive warning sign about the future of Arne Slot. Obviously, if you win the league, technically you should be allowed another season to try and correct all your mistakes. But this has been abysmal. The squad obviously still has enough quality to bounce back quickly, but all the profiles are wrong and it's going to take a massive summer all over again. I know it's a transition, it's a clear-up period. The old Klopp players leave, the new Slot players, oh my God, I can't believe I'm saying this. The new Slot players come in, but Slot, the defensive structure, and I've always seen people on Twitter saying how he always drops off, how his press gets broken, but there is no chance he is this blind. There is no chance he's this blind. And now Slot has one of the biggest seasons of his career coming up. This next season, 2026, 2027, because he said he's going to get the job, he's going to carry on, so I guess I have to believe him. This has to change. I have to see actual defence. I cannot see 52 goals conceded again, and it's counting. There's one more game against Brentford, could lose 2-0, could be like 54 goals. That's the worst in Liverpool history. So, in this video, you're going to enjoy me complaining about how everything went wrong for Liverpool, what went right at least, which players Liverpool should build around, who they should move on, what kind of signings to make to become serious again. Because Liverpool don't exactly need to rip everything up. They need to just stop confusing Arne Slot. Please stop confusing possession with control. The biggest issue for me with Liverpool this season wasn't just personnel. It was literally the whole identity of what type of club you're trying to be. You can't just sign players like Frimpong and Wirtz. Frimpong is a right wing back, Wirtz at the 10. What team are we actually trying to be? So in the end, we just had Liverpool looking like they were in control of every single match. So they had all the territory, all the dominance of every single game. Liverpool basically dominated every single game. If you looked at the stats after every single game, it would look like, okay, Liverpool have the ball. Liverpool have twice as many passes as opposition. But it's just nothing possession. All you just saw was nice build-up phases, because especially when Conor Bradley went down and Curtis Jones went right back. So you even have another midfielder in the team. So you just have nice build-up phases, but once the ball turned over, it was just tragic. It looked so fragile and frail. And that's the difference between control and fake control. Because I saw Swansea get promoted with Brendan Rodgers and pop the ball around with Joe Allen and Leon Britton. And it wasn't real control. It was just nice football on the eye. It's called aesthetics. Real control means the opponent can't breathe. So think of prime Pep Guardiola football, just pushing the opponent backwards. They have no counter-attacks. Their XG is 0.1 XG. I saw Arsenal play against Burnley. It looked like Burnley were actually attacking. They probably had about 0.2 XG. Fake control is when you have the ball for 5 minutes, just passing it side to side. You lose it once and suddenly your centre-backs are literally defending a basketball in transition against prime LeBron down the court. And that happened too often. Liverpool were not horrible in every single metric. They still had quality throughout the season. There were still moments of quality, like, for example, that Galatasaray game. When it all works out, it's perfect. It gets way inferior opposition. But in the Premier League, you can't do that. Like, Liverpool still created chances. They still had elite players. But defensively, the balance was just so wrong. Even with elite defensive players in Konate, Van Dijk, you literally can't do anything about bad setups. And the pressing was the one thing that bugged me so much. I remember that one game against Sunderland when I saw Gakpo playing left back, basically. That was just the worst performance of the whole season. Counter-pressing is one of the biggest things that Klopp was renowned for. Counter-pressing, you lose the ball, you get the ball back as high as possible. When you win the ball back high, then you're in a position to go and shoot, go and have a shot on target, have an attempt at goal, and it just was not aggressive enough. Who in that midfield was actually aggressive? Who in the front line was actually aggressive? You start to miss players like Luis Diaz and Darwin Núñez, and also the lack of a holding midfielder. Gravenberch last season played as a 6. This season he's just been playing against an 8, doing whatever. The amount of steel you need in midfield to play in the Premier League. Even a team like Nottingham Forest have players like Sangare and Elliot Anderson who are in the middle of the pitch. It makes it completely way more difficult to play against when you play against actual tough, stern midfielders. That's why Liverpool need to go into the transfer market and sign 2 midfielders. And that's why the season felt way worse than just finishing 5th. It wasn't only the league position. It was a feeling that teams could just easily get past Liverpool constantly, way too easily. I've been banging on all about this, but control is just the word of this whole video. Control is the word of this whole video. Real control isn't just having possession. It's what happens when you lose the ball. Are you compact? Can you counter-press? Can your midfield win the second duel? Can they win the second ball? Can your backline defend big spaces without panicking? These are the answers that Liverpool did not have the answer to. All the answers to that is no. They look like a team, just a bunch of technical players who can play some nice football, but not enough still. Not enough recovery pace. Not enough midfielders who could cover ground, smash people in the duels. Remember Fabinho? Remember that performance against Barcelona on a yellow card? No one could protect the centre-back. So then you have Van Dijk doing the most and having the most insane stat line at 35 years old, 34 years old. And that's why so many games of Liverpool had the same pattern. Liverpool would start with the ball, look comfortable. Slot will come out in the press conference and say, oh yeah, we started off so good in the first half. We were so good, blah, 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 blah. And then boom, one counter-attack. Oh, this is the worst part of Slot. One counter-attack, they had one attack, and they went and scored. That was a whole consistent theme of the first half of the season. Oh yeah, the first shot they had, it went in. Like, oh my God, this video is horror. You just lose one pass, one weak duel, and then one bad transition, and boom, it's a goal. And suddenly the whole team's just sprinted back. You see McAllister just falling over against Tielemans. I don't want to revisit that. And that isn't bad luck. At the start of the season, I thought that was bad luck, but it's a structural problem. And when your rest defence is poor, every attacker looks worse, every defender looks exposed, and every goalkeeper looks under pressure constantly. We're just lucky that we have some superhuman players. Otherwise, this would have been a horror season. You don't realise, but Van Dijk is just superhuman. You don't realise, but Alisson is just superhuman. So it looks normal. And then there is the most embarrassing part of it all. The set-piece problem is by far the biggest red flag for Liverpool's season. Because open play problems can sometimes be explained. Like, you can say the midfield wasn't athletic. You can say the fullbacks aren't that good. You can say the press wasn't that good anymore because of Núñez and Diaz leaving. Players adjusting, injuries, all of that. But set pieces are just straight coaching, repetition. organisation, concentration. Like, there is so much simpleness that you just work on the training ground, but they're going on holiday every single week. You just block people off. You mark people. Second balls is about who's at the front post attacking the first contact, who's getting the first contact on the header, who protects the back post, who gets the loose ball, why does the keeper never catch it? Why do I never see a Liverpool keeper come out and just catch the ball? And Liverpool are just horrible at it all season, honestly. You can't be a serious team at all with 20 set-piece goals conceded. Like that, across a whole season, that's not unlucky. That's a straight pattern. Even when they fired that guy, they still conceded way more set-pieces than they should have. And that's not including all the throw-ins, free kicks, crosses, all that type of stuff. And you can't be a serious team and concede set-piece goals like that. And the mad thing is, this isn't a tiny team. I feel like we just excuse that. Barcelona 2011 with Mascherano centre-back was a tiny team. Liverpool have Van Dijk, Konate, Gakpo, Ekitike, Isak, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch. These are all big bodies. Aerial presence, physical players, man. So when a team just keeps conceding from dead ball situations, when we just keep saying, oh yeah, we just got bullied, we're small. Like, how is that happening? We have big players. So Arne Slot, organisation, just was not good enough, and you have to take serious blame for that, because if your open play structure is already fragile, you cannot also be weak on set pieces at all. You cannot be weak. You have to play like a relegation side. So if Tottenham were good at set pieces and keep the ball out of their own goal, they would be way up the pitch. That means opponents can't just outplay you. They don't have to outplay you. They just need to hang around and wait for late corners, win throw-ins, win free kicks. They can launch the ball from anywhere, and then you have a chance, because you know Liverpool are going to make a mistake. And that just kills all the confidence in the back line, which is detrimental to success. And it just changes the whole feeling of the game, because Liverpool could dominate the ball for 20 minutes. Like, we could have every single chance. Obviously, our finishing this season has been absolutely abysmal. Don't know what happened to Mohamed Salah. We're just going to excuse that. We're just going to ignore that because he's leaving. But one cheap corner and then the whole game is just level again. And then you have to go, you're 1-0 down. Suddenly, the whole crowd is on you. You get their Everton-type stadium where it's like, boo. Yeah, not going to lie. I could rant about this for about 1 hour. This is going to be part 1. If I can be asked, I will do a part 2 telling you every single signing we should make to get this season back on track next season.